Hello. In this video, we're going to write a code segment that would create a new string that contains S without any letters A or E. So one thing just to make sure we're all clear about for this problem is that we already said that there's a string called S that exists and it has something in it, but we don't really know what it is. So the real theme of this question is I want to check to make sure that you can apply loops to strings. Though I'm going to show you at the end of this video how you can do this question without loops. So if we imagine that S has the word, say, I don't know, well, there's an example here, fable. What we're going to do is we're going to write a loop that's going to walk through this entire string. So we're going to have a loop that goes from 0 to 4 in the case if the word is fable. And I'm going to look at each letter, and if the letter is not an A and it is not an E, I'm going to take it and add it to my new string. So with this problem, the first thing I'm going to need is a new string called P. And this is going to be a string that holds the resulting. This can be anything I want. I happen to call it P. So with this, I need to look at each letter. So I'm going to start by setting up a for loop. So for, and so imagine I'm going to start at index 0 and evaluate, then index 1, evaluate, index 2, evaluate, index 3, evaluate, and index 4, evaluate. So I'm going to say for int I equals 0, because that's the first index. And I'm going to say I is less than. Now, let's imagine that S held the word fable. We're going to say I is less than 5. I'm going to come back and change this in a moment or two. But for now, we'll just do this. And then each time, I'm going to increase I by 1. So it's important to kind of talk about that. If I wanted to evaluate every second letter, I would say I is equal to I plus 2. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now, what's going to happen is I'm going to have an if statement. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to access the character at the position I. So my string is called S. So if I go s.charat, I, if it's not equal to an A, and s.charat, I, is not equal to an E, well then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say P is equal to whatever is already in P plus s.charat I. And then I'm going to close that brace. Now, students often say, well, don't I need an else statement here? The answer is no, because I don't need to do anything otherwise. I only need to do something if the character is not an A and the character is not an E. If it's not an A and it's not an E, I'm going to add it on to the string P. And then we end our loop. So let's just trace through this and kind of imagine how P gets constructed here. So if we imagine this, when I is equal to 1, the character how am I doing that? I starts at 0. s.charat 0, that's going to give me F. And is F not equal to A? Well, yes. Is F not equal to E? Yes. So therefore, P is equal to nothing, because right now nothing's in P, plus F. So then I becomes 1. And again, so we go s.charat 1. Well, that's A. So is A not equal to A? And that's false. And therefore, if this first condition fails, the whole thing fails, so we don't do anything. So then we go to the bottom, I becomes 2. 2 is less than 5, so we keep going. s.charat 2. Well, s.charat 2 is going to give me B, and B is not equal to A, and B is not equal to E. So P is equal to what's in P already, which would be F plus B. And so what this would do is it would continue to walk through the word, because I is going to go from 0, which is the first index, to 4, because 4 is less than 5. It wouldn't actually reach 5. So this is 99% complete. The one little thing we want to make sure we change here is this is just an example of what could be an S. So again, anytime I'm using a loop to kind of work through a word, I want to actually calculate the length manually. And what this means is whether I have Fable or The Wonderful World of Star Trek or whatever happens to be an S, it doesn't matter the length, this loop will change accordingly. So again, string S is a string that I'm looking at. String P is my new string I'm creating. And I write this loop. This loop is, I'm going to start at index 0. I'm going to go as long as it's less than the length. And I'm going to increase I by 1 each time. Here's my if statement. If s.char at I, so if the character in the index we're looking at is not A, and s.char at I is not E, we then add that character to P. I hope this video helped.